Hi, you guys. I'm mostly just using this as a test run right now before tomorrow to make sure I know how to go live with a donation button. And I couldn't figure out how to do it without going live, so I went live. But now I still don't really know where it is or how to do it. Does anybody know how we get a donation button going in here? I know there's a way. I see questions. I know how to go live with. If anybody knows how to set up a donation button on here, please let me know, because I know you can do it on TikTok, but I couldn't figure out how to do it here. So let me know. Also, while we're here, I've been seeing a lot of you guys sort of tweet me, that you're confused as to what's going on and why. And it's a lot easier to have a discussion in this format. So if you guys want to talk about what's going on, how you feel about it, any questions, I would love to have that discussion with you guys. It's really important that we're all talking about everything that's going on right now and staying informed and staying educated. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, let me know, and then I'll do a test run on it as soon as we figure that out. So talk to me, you guys. How are you feeling? When you start the live, on the left of the screen, there should be a fundraiser heart. Okay, I don't see that, which is making me think that I maybe need to update my Instagram. Oh, you click on it before you go live. Got it. Okay, that's really good to know. Thank you. That'll be very helpful. That was the curfew alert. They just changed the LA curfew from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if you are out and about, if you're planning on going out and about, please come home before curfew. Once curfew has been announced, they are within their legal right to do some really scary things to try to get people off the street. There can be arrests. There will very likely be rubber bullets and tear gas. So please get off the street. Things are really scary right now. I hope that you guys are all using your voices to speak up, but not causing problems. Can you tell me, is it right to be protesting against the police? Well, that is a super nuanced issue. People have every right to be mad right now about the way that the police have been acting. Police brutality is a huge, pervasive issue in America, in other places too, but specifically right now, racially charged police brutality against Black Americans is a big problem. Black people are getting murdered by cops, and cops are not being held accountable, and people are mad. And people are rising up to show that they're mad because there have been peaceful protests for a really long time and nothing is happening. This is the issue. When people talk about, violence doesn't help violence, it's just causing more violence. Yeah, I am, by my immediate nature, fully a pacifist. I never have an inclination towards violence of any sort. But rioting, or at least protesting, is a tried and true way to incite change in this country, and it always has been since the very beginning. We learned about the Boston Tea Party in school, right? I mean, I'm sure you all remember learning about the Boston Tea Party. And we learned about it as a victory. The people rose up and they made a stand and people listened. But what people don't really remember is what the Boston Tea Party was citizens rising up and causing property damage and causing enough damage that the people in power took notice. And I am not in any way, I don't want to say justifying, in no way encouraging looting or violence just for the sake of anarchy. That is counterintuitive and counterproductive and not what I am condoning. However, I do condone Americans using their voices in a democracy. The systems in our government are meant to work for the people, not the other way around. And that's why a lot of people in the protests are saying things like, who are you protecting, right? If we have this force that's meant to protect the people and they're disproportionately killing people, that's something to stand up and speak out against. That's why this is such a big deal. Also, these protests are not just about the death of George Floyd and the conviction of the 4 police officers who were involved in his murder. This is about systemic oppression and systemic injustice in this country. I mean, people forget sometimes we're a young country. We're not even 250 years old. Or no, sorry, we're not even 250 years old. And our country was built on the backs of first genocide with the Native Americans and then slavery. That's what our country was founded on. And so a lot of the systems that are in place, it's not that the systems are broken. They're working exactly as they were intended to when they were designed by the people in power when the systems were designed, which was the, white upper class. Not an attack on white people. I'm a white person, but this country was built by the majority in power. And it was meant to, a lot of the systems were built in a way to help protect the ruling class. And that's still the case. And so this is people rising up and saying that it can no longer be the status quo. It can no longer be the norm. It's 2020. And our country is what it is because of minorities and because of diversity and because of the people who are getting disproportionately targeted right now through a very, very damaging system. Violence can't solve violence. I couldn't agree more, but it's a great way to promote the side to stand for, and it's in your power. Yeah. Look, I went and I protested, but I didn't riot. I left before the rioting and the looting started. And even just protesting was hard for me because I do look at police and I want to say like, hey, thank you for protecting us. But I also understand that my feelings of that come from a place of privilege because I've been privileged enough to grow up in a world where I can believe that all cops are there for my safety. And Black Americans and people of color in this country don't get to grow up feeling that way. They have to grow up scared. I don't want to speak geographically on it because I know this can be triggering and traumatizing and hard. It is. It's a hard conversation to have. Yes, thank you for mentioning Loving You Silently. The song is still dropping. There is an industry-wide blackout happening tomorrow, and it was too late for me to change the release of the song. So the song is still dropping tomorrow at midnight. I will be taking a little bit of a step away from social media tomorrow in order to be respectful to the movement that's happening in the industry. But the song is still coming out, and I'll come on Wednesday to do whatever promotion feels appropriate. I don't want to be amplifying my voice and my career over what's happening right now, but I also know that a lot of you guys have been really looking forward to this release, and I don't want any of you guys to feel abandoned when everything is already so scary and so difficult. I don't want to also go and take away your, stress relief or the thing you were looking forward to having as a distraction. So the song is still coming out, but yeah, like I said, I'll be a little more quiet than usual tomorrow, probably. I'm gonna listen in silence until Wednesday. Perfect. People weren't intended. They're supposed to be chanting. Not an excuse to commit crimes. Yes. So this is another conversation that's worth having, which is a lot of the damage that's being done to society right now, to property, is being done by anarchists, people who just see the chaos and want to participate in violence because of whatever reason. And that's really dangerous. And I don't think white people should be causing damage because I don't think it's white people's place to do so because the blame will get shifted. But it's a very nuanced issue, and some people also believe that when lives are continuing to be lost, property is a small price to pay in the trade-off for trying to win back respect for human lives. So it's a very nuanced issue. And like I said, I'm not really here to tell you my stance on it. I'm here to tell you the issue at hand because I encourage you all to do your own research. And I DM'd you the link of the donation button. Perfect. Thank you. So on Wednesday at 3, I'll be going live to raise money, and that'll be a big, long live stream. But like I was saying, my hope in discussing these things with you guys is that you'll get educated and do your own research, because I believe in you guys. Even those of you who are younger, I know a lot of young people follow me. You guys do have the the capacity to learn and make change. You know, young people will take over this country soon, eventually. So do your research. You have a lot more power than you think you do, even if you're underage and can't vote yet. Just being aware and, you know, calling out issues when you see them with your friends on social media makes a big difference. I mean, hell, the BTS stans took down a police site that was like, spying on protesters essentially by sending in fan cams. Like, that's crazy. Like the amount that people can do. Don't underestimate yourselves. And keep asking questions. Keep asking questions right now. I know I've been talking for a minute, and I would like to hear from some of you guys about if there's anything else that you are confused about or want to talk about as it relates to everything that's going on. Industry blackout. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of people in the music industry sharing hashtag the show must be paused. And people are taking a step back tomorrow, especially because our industry is so heavily influenced by and so much thanks to Black artists. So people are doing that as a way of showing respect for the situation. And like I said, I very much want to participate in it, but also it was too late to change the drop of the song. So the song's still coming out, but I'll be joining in with the social media blackout in order to show my support. But yes, Loving You Silently is still coming out on June 3rd. The blackout is on June 2nd. The song comes out June 3rd. I haven't decided when I'm going to put out the music video because, again, I want to share it with you guys because I know you're excited, but I also really feel a responsibility to be sensitive and respectful to the situation at hand. So just bear with me. We'll figure this out together. Hi, Nia. It was amazing what they did with George here in Brazil. Everyone is talking about the demonstrations. Really? Wow, this has made its way international. I saw protests in Ireland and New Zealand. It's amazing that people are showing support in other countries. It's devastating that this is what we're known for as Americans. Police brutality and racism and not knowing how to handle a pandemic. All of this in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. Well, I think, frankly, that's probably also part of why this is happening, because minority communities are already being disproportionately affected by the pandemic and by the government's response to the pandemic. For example, minorities hold a much higher percentage of jobs that are considered essential, but they get paid less, they get fewer benefits, and they get protected by the country less. So these people are helping more and getting helped less. And that is already enough to cause intense frustration and fear and resentment and feelings of not mattering as an American citizen. And then you add in the fact that people are still getting killed. So that's part of what's adding fuel to the fire here. Not to mention that everyone's just pissed because everyone's been, stuck inside and losing jobs, and it's a scary time. It's also a hopeful time because things, I think, might change after this. Like we're witnessing a revolution. And that's why people are saying right now is so important to speak up and that history is being made, because it is. 2020 is going to go down in history. How do y'all feel about the looting? I spoke about this briefly on this live already, but I support peaceful protests. I don't think that it is within my right or the right of a lot of people to be looting and causing unnecessary damage. But I also do see the point of view of those who say that peaceful protests haven't worked. And so the looting is a last resort as an attempt to garner attention for the cause. Don't loot. Don't go out and do it. I'm not encouraging it. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying I understand the ethos of it, if that makes sense. Do you guys have any other questions, things you want to talk about? Just a few years ago, I literally had someone walk up to me and say they hate Black people, and that was hard, but I cannot even imagine losing someone who's unjustly killed because of their race. I'm so sorry that you experienced that. That's horrible. That's horrifying. That should never, ever happen. Are you going to guess anyone? Not on this live stream, no. I'm answering questions and responding to comments, though. Also, is it okay for people to have an awful mental health with everything going on? Yeah, so I haven't been talking about mental health as much as I usually do because it feels a little privileged because right now, so I don't know if you've ever heard of James Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a pyramid chart that explains the physical, emotional, mental, and environmental needs that human beings have for safety, security, and happiness. And at the basis level, you have to have the lower level before you can ascend to the pursuit of the next level. So at the basis level in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is human physical safety. Without physical safety, you can have nothing else. You can't reach the need for emotional health. You can't reach the need for love and connection. You can't reach the need for self-actualization. Before self-actualization is esteem, and then comes self-actualization. I can't remember. I believe I remember this chart from 12th grade. But so Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And right now, physical safety is the primary concern. However, mental health is still a huge, huge concern, and there is no physical health without mental health. You sure as hell can't reach self-actualization, right? There's no mental health without physical health, but there's also no physical health without mental health. So yes, I really hope that you guys are all taking care of yourself. And again, the reason that I'm kind of choosing to be okay with still releasing this song right now amongst the madness is because I do think it's important that people have, some emotional catharsis, because we have to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we can't continue to fight. Wait, what did that say? Are you donating a portion of proceeds to #BlackOwned? Yes. So I have so far made a couple of donations to Minnesota Freedom Fund, the Black Trans Women's Fund, a couple of funds that I've seen on Twitter. I'm hearing that the Minnesota Freedom Fund actually says that they have enough donations at the moment and that people should be allocating their resources to other places. But I still haven't quite figured out which places need the most help immediately. So if you guys have suggestions, please let me know, tweet them to me, comment them, DM, whatever. I'm going to be doing a lot more research today and tomorrow to make sure that when I go live on Wednesday on Instagram and TikTok, I'm raising money for charities that really need it. Because I would never want to funnel people's time, energy, and resources, or my own, towards the wrong place. What was the protest in LA like? So when I was there, I was there sort of the first day of LA protests. I was there on Friday, and it was it was tense. It started out very peaceful. And basically what would happen is we would walk and chant in peace, and then we would come upon an intersection where the police would then surround us and try to block us in, at which point people would come straight up to the front line of police and they were face to face. And at that point is usually when tensions would rise. And then every hour or two, or maybe even every half hour or two, somebody would, throw a skateboard or throw a cone or throw a trash can or do some sort of small act of aggression, and it would incite a very, very quick, the intensity would escalate very quickly, and then things would calm down again. So there were only a couple of moments where I got really scared. I left at dark. As it got dark, I left. We left. So we left before the arrests started. We left before the looting started. We left before the tear gas and rubber bullets, which another thing that a conversation to have is rubber bullets. So I have been seeing a lot of people saying, oh, it's fine, it's just rubber, it's just plastic. I don't think people realize, first of all, rubber bullets is a misnomer. They're not the size of bullets. They're huge. They're big. They were originally designed to be shot at the ground, bounce off the ground, and hit lower limbs as a deterrent, but they've been fired off into people's skulls and bodies. A friend of mine got hit in the chest, and they're causing severe damage. People are losing their eyesight. People are breaking their, occipital bones and their jaws, and it's dangerous. So if you're hearing oh, they shot rubber bullets and you're thinking, oh, that's fine, it just hurts like paintball. No. They're very dangerous. They're very, very dangerous. This is all very dangerous. There's no way around it. Is there anything else while we're here that you guys want to talk about? Do you think he should be charged with the death penalty? I have very conflicting thoughts about the death penalty in general. So I won't speak on that, but I do think he deserves to be punished and convicted. Also, another thing I'm not going to share an opinion on, but I'm going to mention it so you guys can do your own research and form your own opinions. People have been calling for the murder charge to be changed from 3rd degree to 1st degree. So rather than, manslaughter, which is essentially accidental death, it would be shifted to murder. I don't know if you saw, but today the autopsy came out and the coroner declared that George Floyd did die by asphyxiation, by choking. So the cause of death, even though he did have underlying conditions, the cause of death was indeed being knelt on his neck for 9 minutes, which should be a surprise to no one who saw the extremely upsetting video. But small justice, small wins. What do you think about Black people? Well, if I haven't made it very, very clear by far, I am here for equality for all. I'm here for reparations for Black Americans. I'm here as a white ally, trying to do anything that I can to support. Thank you for understanding what Black people have gone through for a long time. Depression. You're welcome. Don't thank me. I think that should be the bare minimum. But yeah, I'm tired of this. Say something else. Yeah, I'm tired of it too. I'm also tired of police brutality, and I'm also tired of racism, and I'm also tired of people are tired. That's why these uprisings are happening. Look, I would love for everything to just go back to normal tomorrow, but that's not going to happen. Normal is not okay anymore. People are sick of what our normal was because it was not a good normal. The world is never going to go back to the way it was in March. It's just not. Too much has changed. Yeah, I'm tired too. All the things that are happening are so scary. I know. That's why we're talking about them, because that's all you can do is talk about them and stick together. I love Songbird. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I can't wait, we'll go back to live streams soon, you guys, where we have fun and it's silly and I sing songs for you guys and we do Q&As. That's gonna happen again. But, right now, important things are happening that we should be discussing. Because, if you can donate to. Yes, I was saying before, I've donated. I don't like to share amounts because it feels narcissistic, but I've donated. If you have the means, you should donate to. There are lots of links on my Twitter and everywhere that you can donate to. The fact that things could happen to me or my family is just so sad. Yeah, for everybody who's saying they're getting tired of it, just think about the people in your life who are scared and who are in danger and, stand up for them. Plus, think about all of the things that you learned in school, all of the big historical events you're living through right now. That's bigger than anything else. Is your friend okay? Yeah, she's okay. I think she's actually going back, which scares me. Do you think... Why do people act as if the police are racist? Well, there have been many, many instances of innocent Black people being killed for no reason and guilty white people getting away with things. for example, white supremacists inspiring domestic terrorism, and people being treated differently. I mean, there are so many examples you can find on the internet of, even this week, a white man showed up to a protest with a rifle and was peacefully and quietly and respectfully asked to leave. And then, a black man walks down the street with his cell phone while he's jogging and gets shot. So, you know what I mean? The inequities are there. They're visible. We can see them. It's happening. If it weren't happening, why would all this be going on? Nobody wants this to be happening right now. Nobody wants the world to be up in flames. But do you agree with ACAB? I don't think that all people who become police are bad people. I think that the system has a problem. I think that there is a problem with the hiring system, with the training system, with the justice system, with the prison system. I think there are problems there. I would not want to stand up and say all police are terrible people, because I have family members, not direct family members, but like my best friend's dad as a child, and, extended family who are in law enforcement or know or love people in law enforcement. And I know that there are people who go into it wanting to help people, but there are also people who go into the force looking for a reason, looking for power so that they can abuse it. And that's what people are rising up against. When do you think they're going to get an antidote? Do you mean to coronavirus? A vaccine? I have no idea. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was an interesting development yesterday that coronavirus, COVID-19, may in fact be a vascular disease, a disease of the blood platelets, which is really interesting. So it's a respiratory illness at the start, but that may be how it circulates through the body, which would explain why COVID patients have been seeing blood clots, strokes, what they call COVID toes, an issue with circulation to the toes that causes death of the tissue. So that's a huge development. It means this disease is even more unique than we might have already thought, but the more information we can get on it, the better, because like is the case with so many things, the more information we have on it, the more likely we're going to be able to stand up against it and fix it, cure it. So in this case and many others, information is power. Now is not the time to be talking about random things. No, like I said, we're going to have so many more fun, silly live streams. I love being a source of, I love doing silly things that people can enjoy on the internet. But right now, there are very important things to talk about. And I'm lucky enough to have a platform to be able to discuss them with you guys right now. So I'm taking advantage of that opportunity. Police helicopters. I've been seeing rumors of protests near my neighborhood, so I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. What do you think about Anonymous? Oh, I was wondering when someone was going to bring up Anonymous. So for those of you who don't know, Anonymous is a decentralized group of activists made of all sorts of different people, but generally run by hackers who speak for and kind of stand up for the people. I think that's the best way to describe it. What do I think about? I think I need to do more research on Anonymous. I've been trying to get more information, and I spoke about this briefly earlier today, but all information that you're finding, you should be doing your research from multiple sources, checking to see if the source that posted it stands to gain anything or lose anything from it. Oops. That will affect the credibility of their information. So I want to do a lot more research on Anonymous. I do know that they're very interesting, though, and I think that they're probably very likely to share some very interesting info. Thank you for being educated and not spreading false info. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not just getting educated because I'm, an influencer. I'm staying educated because I'm a citizen and it's important to me. But I also have the privilege of having some people following me, so I get to share this information, which is also a huge responsibility. So that's why I I choose to stay so informed. Credibility of sources is very important. Yes, media literacy is very important. We live in an age where it is so easy to falsify information online and things spread like wildfire. So out of, 45 trending Twitter topics that I've been following consistently in the past 2 days, at least 3 of them have been completely falsified. There was the video of the UFO in the sky, which was a doctored video from 2018 that recirculated. There is a lot to say about the DC blackout situation, and I am in no way purporting to know the truth about that situation, but I do know that things are fishy. I know that there are bots being used to try to refute information, and when that's the case, that's never a good sign. Do some research on the DC blackout if you choose, but approach everything with healthy skepticism, because there's a lot of false info. Also, things fester in the face of chaos because people are already in such a heightened sense of panic and fear. So a lot of people are using this as an opportunity to just cause crazy things on the internet. So just be aware, be careful about what you believe, and read what both sides say about both issues, and then take into account why they're saying them, who they're saying them to on this topic. But media literacy is very important, not just now, but always. I was reading last week about the rise of deepfakes, which are falsified computer-generated videos that make it appear that somebody said something, but it's all computer-generated. And that's really dangerous because seeing is believing. And if a video circulates of somebody saying something, people are going to believe it, and that can cause some really, really serious problems. I have a feeling that's a threat that we don't even realize is about to come change the game. So just stay aware. Everything that you see, double, triple, quadruple check it. And before you boost it, before you share it, before you text it to your friends, please check it. And this is also really important. If you share information and it turns out to be false, delete it. I don't care how many likes or tweets it has. I saw somebody share some information that went viral on Twitter, thousands and thousands of impressions, and then the information turned out to be not true, and they refused to delete it because they didn't want to lose the clout. And that is so, so damaging. So scary. So please, if you share something and it turns out to be wrong, it's okay to be wrong. It is great to acknowledge your mistakes and change them. That's great. That shows growth. That shows that you care. That is not something to be embarrassed of or ashamed of. Voting, another topic. So, what will be your new song? My new song is called Loving You Silently. It drops on June 3rd, which is Wednesday. Voting is really, at the end of the day, probably the most effective way to enact change in your area. And not just the big elections for the president, but the elections for your local government are really important. And I'll admit it, for as politically aware and active as I try to be, I haven't always known everything about every local candidate. I haven't always known who to vote for or even when to show up for my local smaller elections. But this energy that everyone has right now, this amazing energy and desire for change, if we can channel that into doing the work, educating ourselves, and showing up at the polls, we can make a really big difference. That is where democracy thrives. But we have to be educated. We have to be informed. And like I said, that's hard because there are so many forces on the internet who are trying to misinform us. There are people who are actively and pointedly and honestly quite effectively trying to misinform us. So we can't just be passive consumers of content. We have to be using our critical thinking. We have to be using common sense. We have to be using our intellectual integrity to the best of our ability to do our own research and really understand what's happening in the world. And it's hard. It's asking a lot of people. I get it, but this is, you know, what it looks like when you are living in a democracy that is largely failing its citizens. And, you know, other countries have been through things like this, and even we have been through things like this in the past, but never with the advent of modern social media and, you know, true global interconnectivity. As incredibly powerful as it can be in a positive sense, it can also be very damaging and a place, like I said, where misinformation festers. So it's very, very, very important. What do you think about the police propaganda that's been circulating, like where police hug or kneel with protesters and then turn around and approve tear gassing them? So this is one of those topics that I'll fully admit right off the bat, I don't know what to think. How not to be scared at 10 years old. I'm going to address that in just a second. I don't know what to think. Look, I certainly believe that there are cops who want to do right by the situation. I also do understand people feeling that that is hypocritical, because if you are part of a system that's causing a problem, you are then, in a way, inherently part of the problem. I don't know if it's propaganda being drafted by the state. I don't know if it's just people being hypocrites. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. That's on my list. I'll probably spend the next couple hours doing some research on it to form an opinion. I'm going to address the comment before of how to be 10 years old and not scared. First of all, hi. I hope you're doing okay. I know things are really scary right now. You have every right to be scared. Don't feel guilty for being scared. If you can have a conversation with your parents about it, I think it is well within your right to go to them and to say, you know, I want to understand more about what's going on. Can we have a discussion about it? Because you deserve to know what's going on, and information is, you know, the antidote to fear a lot of the times. That being said, a lot of the information is scary. I get it. It just is. I'm scared too. There's really nothing I can say to make it better. But just reach out to your friends, you know, have conversations with your peers. That's all I can really say. It's a scary time. I'm sorry. Now's not the time to be promoting police. Yeah, I mean, now is the time to be amplifying the voices of the people, for sure. Yeah. It's hard not to overindulge in media yet stay informed. I've been struggling with that myself. You do have to stay informed, but you also do need to take breaks for your mental health, because you'll burn out. And once you burn out, you're useless to the cause. So finding that balance is difficult. You know, for me, that balance is like picking 1 hour of the day where I work out, because when I work out, I can't be on my phone. And that helps sort of unplug so that I can come back with full force and full vigor. Yeah, it's hard. How tall am I? I'm 5'9". What is that? It's because my leg is long. Or something else I was going to say and I forgot. Another thing that's worth looking up if you're in LA, the new proposed budget for the police department in LA was, I think, submitted today, and it drafted a 53% allocation of resources to the police, which is another thing that a lot of people are really angry about. So go ahead and do some research on that. Working out has helped my anxiety a lot. Good, I'm glad. Also, for what it's worth, on the mental health side of things, if you feel like you are not doing great right now, please don't feel guilty about it. You were living through unprecedented times. I've gained a lot of weight. I feel weird about it. I'm not sleeping. I feel weird about it, but I'm trying to just forgive myself and be okay with it, because that's not the priority right now. I'm scared because I don't know if things will ever go back to the way they were. Well, things will eventually settle down to some sort of normal. They won't be quite the same as they were before. Things are not always going to be this erratic and intense. They won't. But it might be a minute. I mean, look, when Corona started, we knew this was going to last for a minute, and it has, but we've made it now. You know, we're here. We've made it through several months of this. This is probably going to be something similar. You know, at first it's going to feel like a few days or a few weeks, and then we're going to realize, you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And in that same breath, even when things all settle down and the protests have stopped, we still need to continue to support the Black Lives Matter movement and fight for equality. Love the way you speak with clarity and wisdom. It's really inspiring and helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really something important to me to try to be articulate on these issues so that we can have real discussions about them. So I'm glad you feel that way. We just want change. Yeah. We just want change. I'm having so much trouble sleeping lately. Me too. Part of that is the kind of addiction of social media, and you know, social media is stressful. It's not a fun thing to be on right now, but in a world full of fear, I don't know about you guys, but I crave information because that makes me feel less fearful. And the internet is a never-ending source of information, so I find myself getting trapped in that zone of just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then I can't get off my phone to go to sleep, and that's been a tough thing. But you know, my advice to you would be to try to give yourself a cutoff time where you stop being on your phone, you know, like 20 minutes or 45 minutes before you go to bed. But I know that's harder. So, it's easier said than done. Ebola's made a return in the Congo. Yeah, so I also need to do a little bit more research on this, but I did see reports today that Ebola has broken out in the Congo, which is very scary to see another. I believe that, you know, COVID-19 is the novel coronavirus, but I believe that Ebola is also a coronavirus, which is, if I'm correct, it's a zoonotic disease that travels from animals to humans. So it's scary to see that that's back. I hope it doesn't spread. I hope that they are able to get it under control quickly. I'm waiting for any other questions or things that you want to discuss. I'm also reading updates as they come in on my phone. In my case, as an unemployed journalist, I feel so damn guilty about not being out there. Okay, so I want to address that. In any sort of, you know, revolution or uprising, there are many parts that can be played, and there are many parts that need to be played. And if you can't occupy all of them, or if you can't occupy any one of the lanes that needs to be occupied, there is another one for you. So if you can't be on the ground, there is a need for people who protect protesters. So people who drop people off and pick people up, people who show up with first aid equipment and tear gas, for tear gas, people who keep track of people at the protests and are on call should they need bail. You know, protectors, right? So there's protesters, there's protectors. There are donators. If you have financial means, you can donate to causes. If you don't have financial means and you have a platform, you have a social obligation and opportunity to share conversations. You know, even if all you're doing is texting your friends and saying, I love you, I'm here for you, that's valuable. And to my fellow white people, if you do that, if you reach out to the people of color, the Black people in your life, don't expect a response. Don't expect them to thank you for it. They don't owe you anything. Don't ask them what you can do to help. Offer to help and then step away. People are tired. People are emotionally drained right now. So if you reach out to the people in your life and you don't get the effusive response of gratitude that you were expecting, you have to just kind of be okay with that, because to be a true friend and a true ally is to offer your support without asking for anything in return. And that's really important right now. So, yeah, there's lots of things you can do depending on what your particular skill set and resources are. I'm sure there are others that I'm not even thinking of. And if you're, if what you need to do is to just try to take care of yourself and survive, that's valid too. What is tear gas? Tear gas is a weaponized chemical. Think pepper spray. It's a weaponized chemical that police and National Guard and SWAT and, similar governing bodies use against people to cause physical pain, inflammation. It's called tear gas because it burns your eyes and it makes your eyes burn, but it can cause respiratory issues. It can cause, dermatological issues, skin upset. It causes a lot of, like I said, pain. It's a deterrent. It's a tool that they use to try to encourage dispersal of crowds. And it can be combated with several different things. I've been reading about water versus milk. People have been differing on what's more effective. I've also read that water mixed with bicarbonate, so I believe that's baking soda, can be really effective in neutralizing tear gas. What did Julia say? Before I forget, Ebola is not a coronavirus, but it's an RNA virus like coronavirus, so it reproduces in your body the same way. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So I was wrong. It's not a coronavirus. H1N1 and SARS are coronaviruses. Ebola is not. That's right. But yes, it reproduces in the body the same way. I really like that this has turned into a forum to talk about a lot of the different things at hand right now. So if there's anything else happening in the news that you guys want to discuss, let me know. Probably gonna head out in a minute as well. Need to make myself some food. Please also make sure you guys are taking care of yourself, drinking water, making yourself meals. Let's see if we get any other questions. If not, I'll probably head out. I think I'm actually probably gonna leave this one on my IGTV for a minute, which I don't normally do for these live streams, but I feel like this has been a good conversation. How do you feel about your country right now? I feel inspired that people are so fed up that they're demanding change. And I feel somewhat hopeful that this will inspire a systemic change. I feel scared for the people who are protesting. I feel scared for the people who are in danger. I feel conflicted about a lot of the issues at hand. I feel proud of a lot of people who are doing great work for the community. I feel embarrassed to be a member of a country that does so much wrongdoing in the eyes of the rest of the world. I love that sweater. Nice colors, off topic. Thank you. This is custom piece by @DustOfGods on Instagram. He very generously sent me this piece, and if you're a fan of it, go check out his work because it is quite beautiful and it's sustainable. It's made from the leftovers from designer clothing, which is something that I love. What time is it for you? It is 4:20 in the afternoon, which means that a few more cities have just hit curfew. Another thing to be very aware of, whether you're at home or protesting, the curfews keep changing. And like I said, once a curfew's been announced and it's declared an unlawful assembly, they have the right to arrest people and use force on people to get them to go inside. So the streets become very dangerous once curfew has been enforced. What's curfew? Okay, so like I just said, when a curfew is announced, it basically means that no one is allowed to be on the streets, and if they are, the cops now have legal standing to arrest people, to use more force to get people off the streets. Also, just from a societal standpoint, I'm noticing that once curfew hits, the people who stay despite the curfew are the people who are the most angry about the whole situation, and that tends to be when a lot of the more violent things happen. That's when the looting happens. That's when the property damage happens. But that's also being caused, it's a chicken and egg situation. It's a circular effect. More tension inspires more violence, and violence inspires more violence. So, curfew for protest sitting happening way faster than quarantine curfew. Yeah, I did think about that. It's very interesting that they didn't enforce a curfew for coronavirus, but they have for this. Not that I necessarily think they should have, although maybe, who knows, maybe it would have been more effective. I do know that curfew, a lot of people are saying that curfew, it can be a trap, when they announce it really, really late, when they announce at 4:30 that 5 p.m. curfew is happening, because a lot of people don't have access to that news. But I'm also seeing that it can disproportionately affect minorities for several reasons, and POC. So one reason is that POC tend to have jobs that go later at night, a lot of service positions, so that can make those people a target when they're on their way home. Also, several of the curfew broadcasts have been only in English, so that then puts non-English speakers in danger because they don't have immediate access to the information. And the other thing is, a lot of these curfew announcements have been happening on the phones, and so people who don't have access don't have information, and that's really dangerous. Also, people are saying it can be used to torment people experiencing homelessness. So curfews are not ideal, but they are a tool being used right now by the government and the cops, etc., the governing bodies, to try to keep things calm. Do Latino lives matter? Do white lives matter? Do black lives matter? Yes, absolutely. But the black ones are the ones we're focused on right now. Everybody deserves equality, without a doubt. And the actual words, all lives matter, while that is, yes, true, all lives do matter, right now we are focused on black lives because those are the ones that are being disproportionately killed. This is what we're talking about right now. And just the phrase all lives matter has come to represent contrarian views to equality. I saw a really great, my friend Breck Bassinger actually just posted a really cool photo that I think is a good demonstration of this principle. There are 2 houses on fire and someone says, that house matters, let's put it out. And the other people go, well, all the houses matter. And the person's like, well, yeah, but that's the one that's on fire right now, so let's focus on that one. That's a very simplified analogy, but I would say an effective one. Let's see, anything else coming in? We've still got a good bit of people tuned in, so I'm gonna take advantage of this nice open discussion that we have going right now and open it up for any other questions that you guys might have, or just, topics that you want to discuss. I would never claim to have all the answers, so I'm just here to encourage discussion and discuss the things that we should be discussing. Also, for what it's worth, I've always towed a line when it comes to being political. This is not political, though. This is a social issue, not a political issue, but many people interpret it as a political issue. So I tend to toe a very thin line of trying to be respectful and aware and appropriate, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the stuff I do post is on Twitter rather than Instagram, so if you want to go be a part of that, that's great. But I do think that a good way to sort of bring some of that conversation over here to Instagram is with these live streams. New song released, Kira? Yes. I do have a new song coming out on June 3rd, which is the day after tomorrow, Loving You Silently. And I hope you enjoy it. What was it like when you met Mike Stead? We met at a pool party like a year and a half ago, a year ago. I'm very glad that I was able to go to the protest with him, though, because I felt safer with a large man next to me. Do you think the protests will cause more coronaviruses? It very well could, which is definitely a downside. I read something interesting about something called super spreaders. So there's a theory being posited right now that people actually spread the coronavirus disproportionately at disproportionate rates, which may explain why certain people can spread it to a lot of people and certain people don't at all. It might also make tracking change. I don't really know how that shows itself through the protests. I mean, yeah, I genuinely don't know. Everyone is wearing masks, which helps. How old are you? 22. Yes, I'm 22. I love Something to Look Forward to. Can you explain that song in a bit? Yeah, it's not what we're really talking about right now. But the song is about, I guess it vaguely relates to what's happening right now. It's about wanting things to change, really. It's about wanting things to change. It's about feeling stuck and needing something to look forward to, which sort of how it feels to be American right now. Shouldn't police officers in training take morality tests before they become policemen? Yeah, I think a big thing that people are fighting for is for a reform in the culture of the police, and part of that is changing the training. Part of that is changing the hiring process. I think it seems crazy to me that people who have records of domestic abuse, for example, can become police officers. That seems like a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. So yeah, I think the hiring process definitely needs to be changed. I think also part of the reason it is why it is because being a cop is a dangerous job, and there's probably not enough genuinely qualified people, and so certain people who maybe aren't as qualified do get hired. That's just conjecture, but I think it could maybe be part of the problem. Yes, there was an officer who got fired for having a KKK application. Right. So this is definitely a part of that discussion. That is really, really scary. The fact that the Ku Klux Klan still exists in America is very, very scary. The KKK is alive and well. If you think that it's something that just was in the past, it is not. It is not. Do you like sushi? Yes. Waiting for other comments, because to be completely honest, there's a part of me that doesn't want to end this live stream because I know I'm just going to go right back into frantically resetting and refreshing Twitter trends, and I'm enjoying having real conversations with you guys. Yeah, there should definitely be more background checks, for sure, on police. Ebola is only spreadable by bodily fluids. Okay, if that's true, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Let's see. For anybody who's watching this on my IGTV later, this is the part where I'm reading comments that you can't see, so I apologize. Where is the next election? If you're talking about the local government elections, it's different in each place. I posted a couple that are on June 2nd. Those are on my story right now. Just look up for your local region when and where the elections are. Low battery thing. Let's see. A rally in Brazil, yeah. Is it true? No. Absolutely not. I'm not even gonna read that one out loud. Mental health check. Yes, I did. I'm okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. sing, please. I'm not gonna sing right now. If you want to hear my music, it's all on Spotify and Apple Music. Go check it out. Cannot people... I know. But it is still the internet, unfortunately. Okay. Anything else before I hop off? No? All right, you guys. Please, please, please stay safe. If you haven't yet, speak up. Look for a way to help. Educate yourself. Stay informed, but stay skeptic. Stay curious. Check your sources. If you want to continue this conversation, my Twitter is @KOSARIN, and I'm basically replying to anybody and everybody right now who I see on the internet, because I think it's really important that we have a global conversation about this right now. So if you want to come be a part of that, greatly appreciate it. You're more than welcome. Please come voice your opinions. You will be heard. And yeah, take care of yourselves, please. This is a really scary time. All right. I'll talk to you later.